Good evening. Before I begin, I'd like to thank two people for helping me prepare this Devo, Pops and David. So now you all know who to blame if it isn't good. I was baptized on July 20th of 2015, and this decision was probably one of the most important decisions I've ever made in my life. And if it wasn't for one really good friend of mine and his family's kindness, I probably wouldn't be standing before you today. Harrison, Allison, and his family really touched me in a special way when I was in a dark place. And with that in mind, I'm going to tell you a story. A couple of weeks ago, we had a mandatory holiday meeting at Best Buy where I work. And unfortunately, it was on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m., which was rough. So I normally don't work on Sunday mornings. I'm always here. That Sunday morning, I was over at the customer service counter, and there was two fellow coworkers of mine standing, and they were talking about how much they dislike Sunday mornings. So they don't know, much about me. They don't know I go to church every Sunday. But I was just listening to what they had to say, and they complained about how Sunday mornings, all the Christians come in. They're in a big hurry. They're generally not pleasant to work with. And that really touched me in a special place because I also used to work at a restaurant, and I would open every Sunday morning, serve all the lunch crowd. And I experienced the same thing there. Christians were always in a hurry. Not all the Christians, but there were just people that you knew they were going to church. They're always in a hurry, and they weren't kind as I thought they should be. And so the reason I tell you these stories is I believe we need to focus on how we treat each other outside of this building. I think it's really important to be kind to one another when we're not here, to people outside in the world, because you never know what impact you can have on that person. I think we can all agree that church is supposed to include everyone. It's supposed to be inclusive of everybody. If you turn your Bibles to John 6:37. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never cast out. This verse here shows that Jesus is willing to accept everyone, no matter their history, what they look like, what they have done. And we should never exclude anyone from church. When we're outside of this building, if we're not kind to one another, to other people, then how are we including them in our church, in our family? And our goal as Christians are to bring them here and introduce them to God. As Chris said last week, you never know what you can say or do to change someone's life. And that's very true. It took one person in my life to bring me in and introduce me to this church and to God. If you would turn again with me to Ephesians 4:32. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another as God, Christ, forgave you. So, there again, I believe that we need to be kind to everyone. Regardless if they're waiting a table, if they're selling you stuff in a retail store, if they're walking down the street. Our interactions, they may be brief, but they're really important because that's sometimes all we get with those people. And that can really, really change someone's life. Turn to Hebrews 13:2. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. So I was a stranger to Harrison and his family and this entire church. I met Harrison through school, and we were kind of friends, but we were strangers, really. And when he brought me in to be his friend, that was one of the first things he asked me, was come to church with me. Come see what we have to offer. So, I did. They brought me into their home. They fed me. They brought me to church. And then, I was a stranger to God. I didn't know who He was. I was a stranger to this church. I didn't know much at all. Now, I love to call you guys my family. But again, that brief moment, it took 2 sentences. Hey, what are you doing tonight? You want to go to church? That kind of thing really impacts people. Turn to Colossians 3:12. Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. So when we go out into the world, outside this church building, we must remember to put on our clothing of God, because we represent Jesus Christ. When we have those interactions with people, you may not realize it, but you're not only representing just yourself, but you're representing all of us as Christians. So I'm going to leave you with one last verse, Galatians 5:22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. This is the product of what Christians are supposed to be, regardless if we're here or not. I'll tell you another quick story. I was working, it was my first day at Best Buy. I was so new, I didn't even have the Best Buy shirt yet. It was just a solid black shirt. And I was working the register, and the person that was training me had to walk away. So, I'm nervous. What if I give this guy like $200 and he didn't, what if I mess up the change or something? And this guy comes up, and they have a rewards program, so you can like get gift certificates and stuff. So he gives me his phone number, I type it in, and if you use one of those certificates, it asks for photo ID. So I asked this guy for his photo ID. Well, he got really upset because I asked him for his photo ID, and he got really mad. I don't really know why, but he was a regular apparently. I didn't know that. So he pulls out his ID, and he hands it to me, and I grab it. And then he didn't like that I grabbed it out of his hand, so he starts cussing me out. And I'm terrified, like I'm shaking, like I don't know what's about to happen. So this guy comes in at least once a week, maybe 2 times a week. And when I see that guy, I still get scared. I get, like, my hands start to get sweaty, my heart races, and like if I'm the only one to check out, I'm like, hey, will you come check this out? I gotta go to the restroom. And I was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and she knows the guy, I guess. And she told me that he was a deacon in his church, and that really shocked me. This man, obviously he doesn't go into his church building and cuss people out. I sure hope not. It really shocked me that he was like that in Best Buy, but in church, I'm sure he's completely different. And that's the kind of impact you can have on people. If that guy would have done that to me a couple of years ago, and I would have found out he was a Christian, that definitely would have made me want to come to church and learn about God. So I challenge you this week to wear your clothing of God, regardless if you're in this building or not. If you're at a restaurant, buying something at Best Buy, anything like that, I challenge you to wear that clothing because you're representing all of us. If your life is not right with God, we ask you to come down and always stand.